and I was in my grandmother's backyard where I used to look for agates or rocks, and in the grape orchard. And then I felt this person. I knew this person was behind me, and he grabbed me and was beating me, and it was hit me so hard at one point that I felt a second of pain, just a second, and I popped out of my body through my head again.
Welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us on Life, Death, and Beyond podcasts.
Thank you, Laura. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. So we understand that you had a few near-death experiences. Can you take us through a little bit of your background and the near-death experiences?
Yes. Well, I've actually had two, and I had one in 2001, which prompted me to remember another one I had when I was actually the first one I had when I was 9 years old as a child. So, a little bit about my background. Uh, my parents were divorced. The first NDE was when my sister and I lived with my grandparents in Mount Angel, Oregon. And but I'll share that one after the one in 2001 because the 2001 NDE was basically a catalyst for me remembering a lot. And we were raised Catholic. My grandmother was very staunch Catholic. Not my grandfather, but my grandmother was. And my parents weren't, but I wasn't either. Didn't really have a spiritual center. I was a partier as an adult. I held down a corporate job, that type of thing. So I was I was in the material world for sure, and didn't really have any desire to dive into spirituality or anything like that, until my stepfather died in 1998. And I was very close because my sister and I ended up living with my mother and stepfather later. Uh, and he and I became very close. We were almost alike. And when he passed in 1998, things changed for me. I needed to know what happens when we die. It didn't feel right with my Catholic studies, which what little I had. And so when he passed, I started having spontaneous out of body experiences, excuse me, spontaneous sleep paralysis episodes after he passed because I started studying everything I get my hands on about the afterlife, which was mediumship books. My sister gave me the book by George Anderson, We Don't Die. And I'm like, this makes sense to me. I was also a psychic kid. I saw dead people. I saw my grandfather after he passed, and I saw beings in my room, that type of thing. I believe that we are all psychic kids, and that we can either foster it or not. I stepped it down because I didn't have the support. I didn't understand what was going on anyway, and it scared me because I didn't have anyone that understood it as well. So, so when my stepfather died, I started reading books on the afterlife, mediumship, James von Prague, that were popular back in those days. John Edward and George Anderson's book, We Don't Die, which really blew me wide open. And then I started having spontaneous out of body experiences. And this little story is a prelude to the NDE. And I was searching for answers still. I was obsessed with the afterlife and finding out who and what we are and what happens, why are we here, like a lot of us do, and what happens when we die, when the body expires. And so I came across an article on the internet at that time. This is 20 something years ago, 1999, where it talked about what they called sleep paralysis. And I didn't understand what it was. I just knew that it really scared the crap out of me. I thought I was dying. And anyone doesn't know what sleep paralysis is, you wake up and you're frozen, you're paralyzed, and it's very scary if you don't know what's happening. Well, I was reading about it, and it equated that state to being a launching point for out-of-body experiences. And I thought, whoa, because I didn't know anything about out-of-body experiences at that time. This is cool because one of the benefits of out-of-body experiences is that you can connect with your loved ones. You can have a tangible connection with them in the classic out-of-body state. So I thought, okay, this is the perfect way for me to find my dad. And then I started reading everything I get my hands on about out-of-body experiences, and I studied the gurus back then, like William Buhlman, Robert Monroe, Robert Peterson, and um, and I was doing my exercises every night and in between sleep states, the 90-minute sleep states. I would do my exercises, and after about 6 weeks, I was able to have the classic out of body experience where I'm standing next to my bed and I'm looking down and around. I didn't see my body in the bed. I will say that at that time, but I'm looking around and I'm like, this is strange. I don't remember getting out of bed or anything like that. And then I realized, hey, I must be out of body. And as soon as I realized that, I was back in my body. So I got way too excited, but I worked with it and I was able to cultivate a practice, which I still do. Okay, so I was already leaving my body in that in that way before my NDE. And I did find my dad after a couple months. It took a little while. I felt him around me the whole time, but I didn't actually have uh, mm, vision of him. And then in 2001, I went inner tubing down the Guadalupe River with my girlfriends in San Antonio, Texas, where New Braunfels, Texas. So I lived in San Antonio at the time. And I was still partying, not doing drugs, but we were party with alcohol and things like that. I was still doing that type of thing and still having, but just I wasn't addicted or anything like that. There's a story about drugs that prelude this with my stepfather, but I was still, I'd still have fun with my friends and we drink whatever it was we were drinking. I still kept down a job. Uh, And so on that, when we went inner tubing down the river, we had been out all day. It was a great day. It was hot, and we got back to the riverside to for the outrigger to pick us up and take us back to our cars where we parked our cars down the river or up the river. And he pulled up, the driver pulled up in a little school bus. That's what their buses were, military buses and school buses. And it was full when I tried to get on. My group was behind us. There was five of us in our group, and the bus was pulling a utility trailer with all of our ice chests and our inner tubes. And they said, come, and I started to get off. They said, come on. It's only a little ways. People were partying, and having a good time on the bus. We were just had a good day and everything. So I get on, and my group gets on, and we're all talking and having a good time on the bus. And the driver the bus was a four on the floor transmission manual. And so we're kind of jerked around. I'm standing in the aisleway. We're all standing in the aisleway. I'm standing against the emergency exit. It's at my back. And as he pulls away from a red light, the light turns green, he's shifting, and I'm being jerked. And as he's shifting from second into third, I'm thrown against the emergency exit door. And at that point, I fall out of the bus. And I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm falling out of this bus. And I fall out. I hit my back on the trailer hitch. I bounce under the trailer and I'm on my side. I bounce on my side, roll on my side, and I'm thinking in my head, I yell as loud as I can in my head, "Stop! You're killing me!" And that's when the wheel of the back wheel of the utility trailer It was about a medium-sized utility trailer, ran over my neck and my head. And I popped out of my body through my head. I didn't feel any pain at that point. I obviously knew something was going to happen, and it did. He hadn't stopped yet. He didn't know I had fallen out. So at that point, I popped out of my body, and I'm looking down, and I realize, oh, I just died. I'm thinking I just died. I had it. I didn't feel any um, fear or shock or anything like that. I just knew in my soul that this is what I've done many times. That I've come here or came wherever I was and had an experience, and then now it's time to move on. That I finished that experience, and so I was thinking that, and then I thought, oh, this is. I thought about my friends. Well, first I saw a commuter bus coming up the road toward my body that was laying in the road, and I thought, oh, that I hope that bus doesn't run over my body because that would make a big mess. But I felt I felt no attachment to my body. I just knew that was my body. It was a body that was my body that I used. This is the real me. And then I started thinking about my friends, and I thought, oh, we had such an amazing day. We had so much fun, and here I go and die on them. This is really going to mess up their day. That was my thought. It wasn't, it was no attachment to anything, but I did feel sad for them. And it was one of my friends' birthdays. So I'm like, I was thinking like, she's not going to want to celebrate her. That's going to put a damper on her birthday and all that. And so, and then I thought about my partner at the time, and I thought, and I'm seeing this as I'm thinking about it, that he'll be sad, but he'll be fine. He'll get over it. And I thought about my sister, who I'm very close to, and I thought, well, she'll be fine. She has her family around her. She had children and a husband, and they were very close. She'll be fine, but she'll be sad, but she'll be fine. And then I thought about my mom, who was I kind of took care of. Um, and I felt a presence behind me, and I turned to my right, and there's my stepdad that had passed earlier. And I was really happy to see him. And he says to me, "It's not your time." I remember being kind of confused because I was sure that it was my time. And he said again, "It's not your time." And we have this telepathic conversation about what I still that I hadn't finished what I came here to do, um, and also that my mom needs me, that she would be passing soon, and that I was the only one really who would be able to help her with that. And she did pass after, not long after, a few months after. And so he's telling me that, and as we're having this conversation, I'm kind of saying, "But Dad, I wanted to be with you." I feel a movement on my right, and I notice a portal tunnel, I guess you can call it, opening up, and I it kind of looked like this right here in Van Gogh's painting here. And I'm drawn to that tunnel. I'm being drawn to it. I call it the ancestor tunnel. And I noticed that there were ancestors, my ancestors within that portal that I recognized in the physical form, and others that I recognized that weren't in physical form that I wouldn't have recognized on the street here. Okay, but I recognized them there. And they weren't happy to see me. I knew in my soul, I remembered that we have a celebration when we when we come home, most of us, right? And depending, everyone's different in their transition. But I knew that we have a celebration, and that should be a celebration for me, and they weren't celebrating. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. And as I'm trying to understand what and comprehend what's going on, I see another portal beyond that portal, and I can't say if it's within it or not, but it's beyond it, and it was like the sun, and this bright like the sun right here. Much brighter, but of course, like that. And I'm being drawn to that, or my gaze is being drawn to that. And as I'm gazing at that portal, a figure moves out from the center of the portal and is moving toward me. And he's wearing the white robe, and he has hair, shoulder length, dark hair, and a beard. And I recognize him right away as Jesus. I call Yeshua, Yeshua. And I realized in that moment that I missed him terribly, even though I was, like I said, I was not religious. I did not have a spiritual center. In my mind, I believed that he existed, but what I was taught and understood, it just didn't feel like the Jesus I knew, if that makes sense, in my heart and soul. But it wasn't something I thought about that much. I knew there was some higher being, God, Jesus, source, whatever, my guardian angels that was watching over me, because I probably should have had, you know, crossed over before that many times. Um, and so as soon as I realized who it was and I knew that I had missed him terribly, I flew to him and we embraced. And first thing he says to me is, "It's not your time." I guess my dad had to call in the big guns or something like that to get me to return. And so he says, "It's not your time." And I told him I wanted to stay with him. And he chuckled and he lifted my chin to look up, to look into his eyes. And standing in his embrace and in his gaze, uh, everything that I could have felt bad about, had any mm, guilt or anything like that, not feeling worthy of being with him, was totally gone. As I was, it was a balm being in his presence. And whew, I feel that a balm for my soul and my heart. And and as I'm gazing into his eyes, I see that I I see the universe. I know that I'm seeing the universe in his eyes, and that is being reflected back at me, excuse me, in my eyes. So we are the physicalness of him and me are dissolving, and I feel this warmth in my heart center, and I become one with the light, love, bliss, what we are. And I'm no longer Sharon. I am the light. I am pure love, pure bliss, pure joy. And I like to say, if I had a physical body at that point and I could smile with my face, my smile would be so wide that my face would break. That's how blissful it is to remember that we are the light. And I was in that space of our true nature. Um, People have asked me, how long were you there? And I answer, I'm still there. We're all still there. That's who and what we are. And then I hear my name called, and it's Yeshua. He's calling me to join him. So I bring my focus back to being with him. And it was just natural. It wasn't anything I had to think about. It was just natural. And he asked me if I'd like to go on a journey, and I say yes. Go on a journey with him, and I say yes. And he holds his hand out, and I take his hand. And as soon as I take his hand, we are moving through the cosmos, just moving through the cosmos, or the cosmos is moving through us. Who knows, right? Um, and I do like to share this part too. And when I had my hand in his, I felt every line and crevice, and the touch of his hand was so much more intense in here. I could feel the intenseness, or the uh, of every line and crevice in his hand. Um, I felt that so immensely. I realized that we here in the physical world in the outer planes in the physical world, it's like wearing a glove over our senses, which is the same with out of body experiences for people who have had those too, and in the higher or inner frequencies. And so, as we're moving through the cosmos, I am seeing lights and planets. I don't have a lot of memory of that, but what I do have focus of is blue, a blue star off in the distance, and we're moving toward that, or a blue portal, which I see as a star. And we dive into that star, that portal, and we come out in darkness again. And there's off in the distance, I see a blue-green orb planet. And we move toward that planet, what I can see as a planet and understand as a planet. And I realize it's an ocean planet. And I'm getting the information in my soul that this is a planet that I consider a physical home for me in a different dimension, a higher dimension. And the matrix within me that's connected to that planet, that body, is being activated. And I'm remembering that this is a home for me. And then I become connected. I'm at goosebumps talking about it. And then I become connected to the body, the mother, who is the mother of everything on her body, every single thing on her body, just like we are, you could say the mother of everything on our body, right? Male or female, we're the body who carries all of our cells and everything within our body. And so I am aware of her, and I see her, I feel her as the mother, okay, like we consider Mother Earth. Um, and I'm aware of her awareness, and I'm able to move my awareness as her, and and how she views all of the living, everything on her body, innate and living, the beings on her body. She loves them and has so much compassion for them. And that's why this planet is in a fifth dimensional frequency or whatever it is. It's a higher frequency because of the love between her as this sentient being. This is her body and all the beings that she carries on her body. And I could move my awareness from her as the planet to any being on the planet, single cell amoeba or whatever, had the same love and reverence for her. And so that's what we're moving into on Earth, which is why a lot of us are here to help with that transition, as I'm sure you know, and your audience knows about the shift we're going through. And so that was very profound for me to remember that. And then I hear my name again, and Yeshua calls me back, and he asks if I would like to, if we would like, he and us, he's going with me onto the planet. And so we do. And then we dive in, and I am integrated. The Sharon here is integrated with the being that I inhabit, the avatar on that planet that is me. And remember that I have a mate and I have children, I have parents, I have a community. We live very long on that planet. And yeah, and so I'm remembering that life. And I don't know how long I was there. Again, I'm still there, but they knew that they could tell that my awareness as Sharon had come there to be integrated with the awareness of the aquatic being. But there was information there where they knew that, ooh, and I feel that I was not there to stay. I still hadn't finished my mission on Earth. And so I hear my name again. And Yeshua calls me back and he asks me if I'm ready to return to Earth. And I say, okay, on one condition, that I know that you're with me tangibly every moment, And you walk with me, and that I have you in my life uh, in a tangible way, and that you help me along the way. And he said, it's a deal. And then I'm back in my body in the middle of the road and the hot road in Texas. And the bus has stopped. They call an ambulance. I jump up, run to the side of the road, and the ambulance takes me to the hospital. They put me on a spine stabilizer because they didn't know what was going on. I was bleeding in my ear from my ear, but it was just that half my ear was detached. And and they released me after 5 hours. I had nothing broken or anything like that. I do have some mm, tendon and muscle damage that I have to maintain and some nerve damage in my neck. But yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. First off, a lot of different directions we can go with that, but that's it's. I'm surprised that you've walked away and didn't have more damage.
yeah,
Because it sounds like it
yes.
was pretty intense and traumatic.
Well, I do believe that when I was in that light bath, I guess you could say, when I remembered, he helped me remember who I was, which is light. I believe that I brought that back, and that helped heal my body.
Mm, makes sense. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people do come back with like instantaneous healings or
Mm,
minor physical damage, kind of like you.
exactly.
I know
Yeah.
when I came back, I had an instantaneous healing. So that makes sense. And
Nice.
how far away did the bus get before they realized that you weren't in there? Do you have any idea? Like, did they keep going or?
He did keep going. No, he didn't go back to he didn't drive all the way back, but he did drop some of my friends off and then went back and dropped everyone else off and then came back to check on me. But uh a couple blocks, I believe, is what it was. Yeah. It
Um,
wasn't that far. I mean, there was a lot of noise on the bus and my friends were yelling to him and he didn't hear them. So, yeah, I felt bad for the guy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And one thing I kind of noticed as you were talking, and this is really interesting because a couple of people also talk about it. So, like when you're getting out of body and you kind of do this inventory, if you will, is my mom going to be okay? Is my brother going to be okay? Is my sister going to be okay? My relationship. And then once we are okay with it, and it's like, okay, I can go home now.
Yes.
Because we do have that. I've had that in my experience, and a couple other people talk about that. And it's really interesting. What is your take on that?
Oh, yeah, I do believe that that's probably pretty common for us to worry about our family or think about our family because we're so close, if that and whoever it is that we're close to because we're still aware of the physical our physical embodiment and so we want to make sure everyone's okay. And I believe that we do that when we're in spirit anyway, even though we have transitioned completely and fully that we still check to make sure our family and the people that we care about, because that love never goes away. It's just because we leave our physical body, there's a bond there. Always, love is who and what we are, right?
Mhm.
And so it doesn't surprise me to hear that from you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I've had a pretty intense life. And,
Mm,
to be transparent, there's times where I was like, okay, I could just drive off this mountain,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
interesting because I didn't, because the first thing that would come into my mind, even though I was going through deep suffering and traumatic experiences at the time, it was like my kids would come in or something would come in to be like divert me, right? And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting. And it's not just when we are outside of the body on our way into near death experience or on the other side. It happens when we're just contemplating, not wanting
Mhm.
to be here anymore.
Mm.
I think it's this thought that comes back in for whatever reason, and kind of like tries to divert you. you know. So it's a
Yes.
thought process.
Yes, that makes sense. And I didn't raise any children, so I didn't have children to worry about. But I understand that a lot of people come back because of their children
Hmm.
and their loved ones. But yeah, this realm is. I mean, this is a tough realm. And
Yeah.
that's why we're here, is to master it.
Yeah.
And it's like I just call it the master class, that we're here to master this realm and then graduate and then move on to something bigger and better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you were talking about is like the feeling of being on the other side holding his hand. So we don't really have a body, but a lot of people talk about it being tangible still. Like how what is your thoughts on that? Because we don't actually have a body, so how can it be tangible? Like
Yeah.
for me, when I've had out of body experiences and it was like I was in an orb, it was more of being in an orb of light with no
Mhm.
body. And when I had the near death experience, I went into the black, what we call the void, I guess. And I
Mhm.
know I didn't have a body, I was just more of a consciousness, but I was still me, my awareness of it, but I didn't have a body. So, how can we feel that denseness still, that physicality?
Yeah, my NDE when I was 9, I was in the void. So I'll share that if you'd like me to a little bit later. But in reply to your question, what I understand is it has to do with focus. And he and I were focused, or him especially was focused. We were had merged, and so we were in that same level of focus, I guess you could say, where he still we were still physical, so to speak. He wanted me to experience that experience, he and I both, because we're so much more than what we think, right? We agreed to have that experience where I could feel the intensity of the physical body in that realm. And it was, I mean, we were constantly communicating, and not through words, just, and I'm sure you know this, as information is coming in, and light carries information. So there was so much that I had to process. It took a little while for me to process after. So even without a body experience, it has to do with focus. And just like here, our body is created through focus. We don't really have what we call a physical body. We think we do, right? Because we live in a matrix, I guess you could say. I mean, I believe that. I've seen it. I've seen the matrix. And so we're focused in a physical realm that seems to be physical. And it's the same in the inner realms. We can focus what we can bring focus to if we want a physical experience or not. Yeah. That's how I see it. And I
Makes
understand
sense.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other thing you brought up, I think, is important too. You were saying that you didn't really have like a religious foundation, and but yet you had that connection with Jesus. And I feel like a lot of people get that intertwined, and because religions do partake on Jesus, and they have some great teachings, but not all of it is accurate. Um, but you can have that relationship with Jesus if you want without being religious, right? It's not you have to have that in order to have that relationship with Jesus.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, he's not Christian. Yeah, I mean, he's embodies the Christ in which he had came here and is still here. He's never left. He's still here, just in a different embodiment, consciousness, and focus to help us remember that we are all have the Christ within us. We are all the Christ, and we can attain what he did. He even said that in the Bible. And if you want to look at that, uh, yeah, he's here for everyone as long as, and he's all about the heart and the fact that, and helping us remember that who and what we are, which is love and light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. He's a
beautiful.
metaphysical teacher.
Yeah, I see him as a teacher and a healer. When I was
Yeah.
doing counseling, he was standing before me. He came in through a lot of my healings when I was
Nice.
helping counsel people. And so there was like this integration that happened. And it was like he was sending me what they call like the energy of a sacred heart, the healer's heart. And he sent that energy. And so that's what I work with when I do healing. So it's an amazing experience. So
Oh, I love
definitely.
that. I love hearing
Hmm.
that. Yeah. I mean, he can be, and I will say that when he first when I began remembering him, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't believe him because I was having communications with who I felt was a guide. My mother passed and she brought him through, but she didn't tell me who he was. She just said he was a guide for me and he was top shelf. She said he was top shelf because I'd ask her, "Oh, is he an ascended master or this and that?" Because I was starting to learn about ascended masters and things like that. And she said top shelf. So so I started communicating and I wanted to communicate with her because we were very, very close. And I said, "Okay, Mom, I'll talk to whoever this is," because I could feel his presence. And being I'm a medium, he helped me bring my gifts to the surface again. And my dad's passing, my mom's passing, and my bio dad's passing all help foster all of it too. Um, and I felt him. I just felt him standing there or next to me. And I said, "Okay, Mom, I'll talk to whoever it is you brought in." I felt her energy move out, his move in, and it was so much love that whenever I would sit with him in that space again, I would cry practically the whole time. Just a recognition of that love and not feeling worthy. And he helped me remember that we're all worthy of remembering who and what we are and his presence in our life. It took me a little while to believe him and remember, oh yeah, we had a deal. That's right. You're here. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so yeah, we come back into these bodies that carry our traumas and carry all of those memories. And so that's what he's here to help us heal.
Hmm. Yeah, everything is recorded that I found out, and so yeah, we carry everything from
Yes.
like past lives, our ancestors, our life, this life, and other lives
Hmm.
bleed into this life, and it's
Right.
just, I don't know, it's like a soup. Yeah,
Definitely.
it's a big mixture of everything in the
Yeah.
physical body. But it also has its own intelligence, I believe, and it can heal itself. And we just have to be able to work with it and honor it.
Oh, totally. And that was the huge lesson I learned from my NDE is that we don't love our bodies enough. We don't love our bodies. We're not really mm, taught anymore in Western culture, I should say, to love our bodies. We always got to fix our bodies with this and that and this and that. And our body hears us, like you said, our body is intelligent and it hears what we tell it. And it has it has a brain and an emotional brain, I guess you could say, as well, emotional field. And so I learned that big time from my NDE with the aquatic beings, is that there's so much love there for their body and their mother body that holds them. Whew, and I feel that is there's so much love that goes back and forth, and and we're in this, like I said earlier, we're here in this outer realm to help this planet, this planetary body, and who we call Gaia, the sentient being who holds us on her body, her sacred body,
Hmm. Yeah, we're part
and
of it.
cares for us. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love going out walking in the mornings and things like that. And I do share that every now and then with the audience on the channel. But I
Yeah.
love connecting with the water, the sun, and just rejuvenating and getting into nature. So definitely. Um, you were talking
Right.
about the aquatic family. Did you
Mhm.
recognize on like how you look? Were you more like a person? Were you like what was your
Well,
appearance?
yeah, and I know this sounds weird, but I look like a mer. We looked like mers. Yeah, we were beautiful beings, had light colored skin, had hair. It's not like this hair, but it's thick and different than this hair, but we had some type of hair. I guess you could call it hair. Um, and yeah, we look like a typical myrrh that we see, but maybe a little bit different and not much different.
Are you
Beautiful, beautiful
connected to the
beings.
ocean or the water in this life?
I'm sorry?
Are you connected to like the ocean or the
Oh,
water in this life?
oh yes, I have to be around water. I live on the river here in Oregon and I'm going to the ocean a lot. I love it. Yeah, I have to be near water.
Yeah, beautiful. I understand that. Now with the sleep paralysis, there's a lot of controversy over what that really is going on and what's happening there. Some people believe it's a step out to having out of body experiences. Maybe some people look at it as they're stuck in their body and trying to leave, stepping off point, like you said. But also, people think that, they're being attacked while they're sleeping. Have you heard about these different topics around sleep paralysis?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's my opinion from my experience and research, and as a someone who's been doing this for over 20 years and have journaled well over 2,000 out-of-body experiences that include some sleep paralysis, some don't. Most don't, because once you understand the sleep paralysis state, then you can just move right through it. And may not even feel it. Actually, my experiences now are more of what I call a reality shift, where I'm just all of a sudden somewhere else, but I know that I'm out of this body and I'm in another reality as a different being, whatever. And as far as sleep paralysis goes, I do believe that it's the phenomenon that the body goes through when we're falling asleep and also waking, coming because our consciousness is leaving our physical body. There's still some left, of course, and when we're waking up, there's that progression or where our consciousness is moving back into our physical body so we can wake up and go through our day and bring our focus into this physical world. Now, the paralysis part, what I understand, is a normal phenomenon that we aren't normally awake in. And it's our body's in that state when our consciousness is out traveling, what we call dreaming, communication with higher self and things like that, so that we don't act out what's our travels within our physical body. Um, but it's not, and as far as being attacked, I will say that when I was going through the sleep paralysis state and didn't know well, I mean, excuse me, what it was, I felt like there was beings in my room, especially I felt there was a being hanging out above my body. Um, I could feel pressure on the bed. I felt like someone sitting on my chest, that type of thing. I would try to yell out and scream. I couldn't. It'd just be garbled. And then as I got better with understanding it, I realized, and this is my feeling, that whoever I felt was hanging out in my room was my astral body. And because the conscious mind, the lower mind, that when it doesn't understand things, it turns things into scary, very scary things.
Hmm.
And the pressure I felt on the bed was my astral body moving back into my physical body. Even though we're not going out, we're moving in, but our mind is putting it in that perspective. And the pressure on my chest was actually my astral body, my second body, Monroe calls, moving back, integrating within my physical body, my consciousness, my astral body, as we integrate. Because, when you wake up suddenly out of a deep sleep, you're not you're not fully present, which means your consciousness is somewhere else, I guess you could say. So it takes a moment or two to integrate within your physical body. And so that's how I understand it. I don't believe it's a dangerous state. Um, we're just not used to waking up in that state, and I believe when we start having spiritual, um, if when we start having a spiritual progress, wanting to know what's going on with consciousness and everything like that, researching, then our guides, our guidance, excuse me, our higher self causes these phenomenon to happen where we wake up so that we can question things.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one, and I had a lot of different out of body experiences, as far as, with meditating, and I would go to sleep
Wow.
and then I would find myself getting up and I'm leaving the body. I had one time of sleep paralysis, and it kind of did feel like there was somebody there. And I was like, I didn't know really what it was. I didn't really go too much into it, but I feel like once you get out of the fear state, or your mind's trying to make sense of it, like it's nothing fearful. It's like anything else
Exactly.
in life, once you get past the fear, it's fine. And you have more clarity and more understanding. But it kind of feels like that. But I think, again, like you're saying, it is more of a fear factor kind of situation, trying to make sense of it because of all the different feelings. What does it feel like, right? That's what we're going on. Um,
Totally.
but I think just with, being able to get out of the body and then go beyond that and kind of just look at it once you're past that,
Hmm.
I think it kind of can bring the clarity for the experience. Because, like, sometimes too, like if you're just laying there and sleeping and you could just feel the jolt, like you
Yes.
feel jolted
You're,
and it wakes you up
yeah,
without sleep paralysis. And that indicates to me that, we're leaving the
we're
body. Because
leaving.
why else
Yeah.
would we like jolt like that? Yeah.
Yes, because we're thinking we're in a different state, in that liminal state where we're usually when we jolt, it's because our mind we're doing something else in our mind, like running down a road or kicking something or falling, going downstairs or something like that. And then because we're actually visualizing that because we are our consciousness is there in a different reality. We're
Hmm.
multidimensional. And so and then yeah, you're right. It's so weird because then you think you're gonna fall or something like that, and you're back in your body very quickly.
Yeah.
You jolt up. Yeah,
Yeah.
jolt awake. I know it's crazy, isn't it? It's awesome.
Yeah. So very interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and I love my out of body experiences and the travels. And so at one point, I did think maybe uh, if there is, a being that is there as we're doing the out of body, maybe they're just pushing us back in, not really attacking us. Which, if they're like, okay, she's trying to leave the body or she's not ready yet, you know, maybe or guides are just trying to hold us there so we're not leaving. So I mean, it can be just different topics there, but
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever my personal experience. I've never been afraid of out of body experiences
mhm.
once I understood them. Uh, I'm more afraid of this world. Not that I'm afraid of this world, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, because nothing can hurt you in the out of body state. Nothing can hurt you in the out of body state. Um, but as far as somewhat a being or a guide pushing you back in the body, that isn't something that I've experienced. I have experienced a lot helping me get out. 'Because that's my intention is I want to leave my body. I want to have an out of body experience, astral project, whatever we want to call it. And so I felt hands coming under me and lifting me up. I've actually raised my hands because even though it wasn't conscious, I feel my guides there and ask them to pull me up and they pull me out. So, yeah, I do believe that they are there to help us too.
beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
aside from the near-death experience and your out-of-body experiences, what is one of your out-of-body experiences, travels that you have that is really interesting that you could share?
Oh gosh. There's so many. Uh, they're all interesting, I think. Profound ones. Yeah, I've had quite a few. I've seen angels. I've seen myself as extraterrestrial. I've been on other planets, seen Christ many times. It wasn't like my NDE though. It was different
Mhm.
because he was helping me remember who he is, remember him, and remember my out-of-body experience. I mean my NDE. Okay, one I had that I thought was really, really profound. Um, I this is when I have a reality shift, and you may have those too, where it's not the classical where you feel yourself leaving. I just sit up and go, right? Because when you get good at it, you can feel when you're in the liminal state, the hypnagogic state, or whatever, when you're um, disengaged from your physical senses is basically what we do. We disengage from our physical senses here. And so I'm at this place. It feels like a ethereal place, but there's still structures around. And I'm talking to a couple people, and we're standing in front of what looks like a temple with double doors. And I know that I'm there to talk to someone. And this gentleman walks up to me very quickly, and I turn to meet him. He's gorgeous, has a bald head. Um, and I know him and he knows me, although I wouldn't recognize him here, but I recognized him there. And he's smiling as he approaches me. And I'm not smiling because I have a message for him it's not a celebration. And then he says, oh, he realized it's serious. And I call him brother. I remember that. And we touch foreheads, and I give him information. It was a greeting and an exchange. And what it was that his brother, soul family, was on the earth plane, and he needed intervention. He was way off his path. Um, and he had uh, I was asking him if he um, would go back to the earth plane, but not in reincarnation, but as like an angelic or come to Jesus moment as an angelic being or someone that his brother would recognize as whoever he was, to give him a come to Jesus moment type of thing, an epiphany, a spiritual transformative experience, whatever we want to call it, to get him back on his path. And he was badly addicted to meth or something like that. Yeah, and I felt like he was on the streets. Um, and so he was asked if he would do that. It wasn't like you have to go do this. He was asked, he was given a choice, and he said yes, he would do that. And so and then we walk in, pull the doors open, and we walk in, and there are other bald beings sitting, five or six, something like that, sitting with their back to the door, and there's a large screen that they're looking at. I've got goosebumps talking about it, and it was his brother that was on the earth plane, and he looked really bad. And so he enters and sits or goes in, and at that point, I'm brought back to my physical body.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really interesting. Like even though we have our lives planned out and we're in the physical body, I feel like we're still interacting and helping out in other realms when we leave the body and doing, spiritual
totally.
help while we're doing this.
Totally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences where, and I'm sure you have too, where you realize that you're helping this. I mean, I do spirit rescue work anyway, and soul retrieval, which I
Oh,
feel like is pretty much the same thing. But we're helping in so many ways on the other side. Um, and, we here on Earth need a lot of help.
yeah, definitely.
Did I
Yeah.
just snort? Sorry. But
That's okay. That's okay.
yeah,
And
so we
I,
have so much help. Yeah, totally.
yeah, yeah. And we can just ask for help when we need it. So,
Yeah. It may not
uh,
come the way we expect, though, but it does come.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I know sometimes I expect something and it's not like that. I'm
Yeah, I know, right?
like, okay, all right, I get what I need, not always what I want.
Yeah, I think there's a song like that.
Yeah, I bet that's where they got it from.
Probably.
Um, you did say seeing some angels at some point. What did they
Mhm.
look like?
Okay, well, my first experience with angels was not long after my stepfather passed, and I was projected. I wanted to go visit my mom. And in the beginning, I was trying to get all this proof and everything, that people could see me or the evidence of my out of body travels. So I was telling my mom what I was doing, and so I wanted to project to my mom. So that was my intention, and I ended up in her front yard, and I am drawn to look up at the sky, and I see what I at first think is a flock of geese. And then I hear this beautiful angelic music, which comes with angelic beings. And I'm in the out of body state. You're able to, as you probably know, zoom in, zoom out, 360 sight, because we don't have a body as we understand it. We can think ourselves into a body. We can, like we talked about earlier. And and I was able to zoom in and see that these were angels.
Oh,
These, and they were flying in formation in a V,
that's cool.
moving across the sky. Yeah. So that was my perception of them. And and I got the distinct information confirm I didn't realize it at the time until I got the information that my dad sent them to me as a gift. Yeah.
Cool. Like a sign gift, yeah.
Yeah, a gift because that was my mom was ill and things like that. It was not long before she passed, and so it was a gift from him. But as far as what they look like, in my perception, they looked like us, gorgeous, and they had wings. And that's how I saw them, and they were iridescent, shimmering. The wings and their bodies were shimmering, and I would say they were not necessarily opaque. They looked physical to me. They looked very physical, and there was just they're just so gorgeous. And how can you not smile? I felt
Hmm.
like they were a huge big smile, and it was a an amazing gift for me.
Yeah. They definitely have a energy. You just kind of know that they're angels.
Yes, yes, they're
The
different. They're
presence.
different than spirit guides. The energy is different than spirit guides.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, you did talk about you were asking tangible evidence for Jesus that he's going to be walking with you in life. What is the tangible evidence?
Oh, way too much to list, but
Okay.
yeah. Um, one night I wake up in the middle of the night and I am dancing with Jesus in my room. We're dancing to, I could hear a song in my head and we're dancing. He's dancing slow with me. And I know who it is, who I'm with. And we're mm, not really talking, but communicating telepathically. And he says to me, uh, to dance with someone is a is such a gift. And I said, and this is paraphrasing. To dance with someone is such a gift. And I said, yes, thank you for dancing with me. He said, the gift is not for you. The gift is for me. It's a gift of trust. That's what he said. It's a gift of trust. I said, well, thank you for trusting me. Something like, for the gift of trust. And he said, no, the gift is not for me, not for you. The gift is for me, that I trusted him. But, ooh, and I feel that now, that I was able to trust him because he's always trusted me.
Right.
I was able to trust him. Yeah.
Oh, makes
So
sense.
that
Nice.
was that was huge for me. Yeah, that was really profound. Um, mm, Another night, and I don't believe, no, okay, that was a different master where I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm on my side. And these are just physical, very physical. And I see there's a man in a turban sitting lotus beside my bed on the floor, and he's doing this with his hand on my chakras, on my solar plexus. And and I just look at him like, oh, hello. He says, I'm working on your, he called it chakras. I'm working on your chakras, your chakra or chakras. Um, you are welcome to go back to sleep. And I believe that that was Kuthumi at the time, Master Kuthumi, because I was working with him too. Now Jesus, I mean, he sat with me all the time in my meditations. I made a commitment that I would sit with him every night at 9 p.m. in meditation, which I did. Um, he took me on so many journeys. Uh, I can't count. He would take me to Venus
Wow.
and cleanse in the healing waters of Venus. And I'd be with him there. There was a river that he would take me to, the cleansing waters. Yeah, lots and lots that I can't even. There's so many. Oh, at one point, he picked me up from my room and took me through the wall. There was no wall. He took me through the wall. That's all I remember about that. But I remembered it was him, and he picked me up and took me through the wall to take me somewhere. Uh, mm, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing those
yeah.
experiences. Yeah, and then so like when you had your near-death experience, did you tell people like right away, or did you integrate
No.
for a while? And how do people respond?
I needed to integrate. I didn't remember right away. I I didn't because I my body needed to heal. And it was so much information, my psyche would not have been able to handle it. It was way too much. And I had to bring in that light a little by little, that information little by little. I started seeing him in my out of body experiences. I was traveling to the water world in my out of body experiences, seeing myself as a mer, seeing my children. I saw one time, one time I'm just there underwater, and I look down and I'm a mer, very different body. I had so many uh, shifts where I'm a mer, so many. Still do once in a while. And I look down and there's a dolphin in front of me, and just looking at me, and he bobs his head like that for me to look down. I understand him. And I look down and I'm nursing a little tiny baby, little tiny mer baby. And I've got chills again. And just as real and more real and tangible than here. Experiences like that. I end up underwater. Sometimes I end up underwater. And at first it scares me because I'm like, oh, because I'm still realizing I'm Sharon. And And then it took a not that long to realize that I don't need to breathe, but I can breathe underwater. So I would swim to the surface real quick, hoping that there's a surface. And and then I'm like, okay, all right. What's wrong with me? I'm out of my body. I don't need to worry about breathing underwater. And then I just tell myself I can breathe underwater. And so I had many experiences of that. And so that helped me. And he helped me during my meditations. First of all, remembering my childhood. I could not remember a lot of my childhood, which I forgot to share earlier. And that came up first, my childhood. He needed to help me integrate uh, fragmented parts of myself here first. As I was remembering my childhood, I was remembering that there was abuse in my childhood from a extended family members, and which explained why I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. And most of it was when I was living with my grandmother, uh, because and it wasn't anyone that lived there. I want to make clear with that. Uh, and so one day this memory came to me, just flooded in, and I was remembering the experiences in a physical way. I could remember the pain. I could remember the smell of the vomit and things like that, because I had repressed these memories, repressed the emotion of it and the physical pain, what my body was going through. And so there was this one memory that came up very, very strongly. I was there and I was in my grandmother's uh, backyard where I used to look for agates or rocks, and in the grape orchard. And then I felt this person. I knew this person was behind me, and he grabbed me and was beating me, and it was hit me so hard at one point that I felt a second of pain, just a second, and I popped out of my body through my head again. I just lost everything, my breath, everything. And I popped out of my body and I'm floating in this dark space. And I felt so much peace. It was very different than in 2001. Now in 2001 I did feel peace, but it was more of acceptance. This space that I was in was so peaceful. I had no pain, just pure peace. It was just peace. And I was floating there, and I was it was dark, but it wasn't like it was a different type of dark. And I knew that I was in consciousness. And what I believe that this space is, what I've learned later on, not that long ago. I've heard this space called the void, but also the primordial mother. I believe that I was in the womb of the universe, maybe. And I felt expanded, expanded consciousness. I could bring my awareness expanded and back to who I was as that child. I could expand and come back, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And I also realized as I was expanding that anything that was out of balance within me, within my awareness, had to be brought back in balance. It was all about balance. There were anything that I could just feel, and I understood that there was intelligence that brought everything in balance. And there was also this musical hum. It was a frequency, that was, I believe, like holding me up, that was supporting me. There was this amazing mm, hum. It was music and a humming at the same time. And while I'm in that space, I notice a light on my right, to my right, tiny pinprick of light, and it grows larger and larger. And it looks like a portal. And I noticed that here's Jesus walking out of that portal, that light portal. And he approaches me, and I'm a little girl. And he approaches me and he says to me, he kneels down in front of me. He says, "You've suffered enough, my child. You don't need to return." And he takes my hand and I say, "But I haven't finished. I I want to go back." I actually wanted to come back, which is very different than my NDE as an adult, right? And he asked me, "Are you sure?" And I say, "Yes." And so then I'm back in my body. And he helped me with that, bringing those memories in that needed to be brought in. Um, and then I was remembering, and I believe I had her life review, which I didn't remember right away. It was different than or at least what I remember of it, than what some people say. But I remembered this soul's life, uh, from spark from the God source all the way back to moving back to the God source.
Um,
I saw I saw the galactic my role in the galactic wars. I saw myself as a fairy. I saw myself as a single cell amoeba. I saw myself as all types of different beings. Um, and so I had that to work through. Uh, it was a lot, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. It is a
Mhm.
lot to process and it takes time. I know for me it does, and a lot of people. So obviously life changes after having these experiences. And so how has it changed for you? You were used to be in corporate, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, yes. I was in accounting in the corporate world. I worked for an oil company at the time in San Antonio, and yeah, things just started to change for me where I was led. I had no idea that I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I was led to help people through psychic mediumship, I guess you could call it that kind of thing, using my abilities, and also helping people with retrieving fragmented parts of their soul, which is what Yeshua taught helped me with, and to bring in to help us remember who and what we are, and not only that, but to find that wholeness that that's what fragmentation is us always looking for our parts of ourselves. I see it as pieces of the puzzle being brought into the whole. And so I started doing that part-time for quite a while because I'm like, how I this is how do I make this something that I do all the time? It didn't really dawn on me at first. I just wanted to help people. And then I started the practice, and I moved to Oregon, moved back home to Oregon to live here after my mom died, and after my dad died, who lived in Oregon. Um, moved back here to settle things, and I got a job in the corporate again, um, for a manufacturing company, and I was in accounting and HR, and I figured I would retire from there. And I was doing my practice part time, and it was getting busy, busy, busy. And things were changing at the job, the corporate job, and not where I liked it. So I was having conversations in my head with my boss, right? Well, if you don't like it, just fire me, kind of thing. So yeah, I got fired.
Yeah. I think it's hard once you have all these experiences and you kind of step out of like I guess the old self-to programs, things like that, what we grew up with. Uh,
Totally.
it's hard to fit into the world,
Yeah.
once you've had the experiences. I know it is for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
totally. And at that point, I was upset for a little while, and I said, well, this is my opportunity. I've been asking for it to go full time, and I did, and I haven't looked back.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, with your experiences, has your view of or encountered source or God, and how has it changed from growing up to now? Like, how do you see it?
Well, I didn't really um have the awareness to understand what even God is. Of course, Catholic teaches it's a man sitting on in a white beard and sitting on a throne. What my grandmother taught me, you can't do this and you can't do that. Judgy, judgy. And so that just didn't sit right with me. So yeah, I I had a conversation with Christ, and here's another little story with Jesus, Yeshua. When I was in my classroom, I'd be in my classroom every night at 9 p.m. or even more, where he was helping me remember things. And he asked me at one point, "What's your idea of God? Who do you think God is? Who or what do you think God is?" And I said, "Oh, God is everything. God is this. God is that." And if I didn't give the right answer, he'd say, and." Oh, God is this and and it took a couple of conversations for me to get it. And what's so cool about that is when I'm sitting with him in that space and having these conversations with him, uh, that's the only thing that's real. I go out into the world, go to my job, do whatever it is that I do. And that time I was working in corporate, and I'd come back and sit with him in that space again. We'd continue as if none of this happened because this is a dream. The only thing that's real is sitting there with him, which is source, pure love right there. That's the only thing that's real. Sitting there with him. This is the dream that the illusion that we've created to, have fun on this planet, to experience on this planet. And so sitting there with him is the only thing that's real. And so during that question, I went out in the world, came back the next day, and we returned exactly where we left off. It's like this didn't even happen. And then I got it. And I said, "Oh, God is love." He's like, bingo. And then we went on to the next topic.
Nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
With that said, so you're just doing mediumship or do you channel beings and how does that work for you?
Oh yeah, I channel beings. I mean, we're all channels. We're channeling something. Hopefully, we're channeling
Mhm.
higher energies, right? I channel higher energies. I'm a psychic medium. I also do hypnotherapy. I do regression. I also do Akashic re records readings and help with soul retrieval or integration work. I do that. I channel higher beings. I also have an academy where I teach courses on everything that I do, including out of body experiences, including psychic mediumship. I have other practitioners that are part of the academy that also teach what their and share what their modalities are, that type of thing. So yeah, I do spirit portraits and yeah, just fun stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Uh, did you want to see if there's a message for the collective for anybody who's watching? Would you like to offer a message?
sure. Well, the first thing that comes through is everyone is beloved. Everyone is loved beyond measure, beyond even our wildest dreams. There is nothing that anyone can think, say, or do that would cause that love to be muted in any way. We are source moving through this body. We are what we call God expression moving through these bodies that we call physical. And mm, again, I just keep getting there's nothing we can do or say that would cause that love not to move through us. Remember that love is the only thing that is real. This playground we call Earth, it can be challenging, is our creations, all of our creations. Your guides, your guidance, your angels, your spirit team, spirit committee is always there with you, always. Be sure to take time to remember that everyone has a very large team with them. It may not seem so at times. However, we are always here. We are always here at your back. Sometimes you just need to turn and look. Again, you are loved beyond measure. Never forget that. And enjoy life. Enjoy life. Let life move through you, move through you. Then there's no stuck energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing the message. And from everybody whoever your spirit team was or
All right.
wherever it came from. Thank
Of
them.
course.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sharon. And your website and everything will be linked below. What is your website?
Thank you. My website for sessions is SharonSananda.com, SharonSananda.com, and the academy is KumaraAcademy.com.
Beautiful. And thank you
And
again.
thank you, Laura. It's been my
You're
pleasure.
welcome.